Hello guys, how's everybody doing today? Hopefully everybody's doing great. Glad to see you guys on this live. So let's jump into a question I have today. Hey Mark, can you talk about quantum mechanics and how it can change our lives? Pretty straightforward, right to the point there. So let's do that. Let's jump into the world of the particle, the atom, the electron. So what is quantum mechanics or quantum physics, and how can it change your life? Well, quantum mechanics changed my life. The understanding of quantum mechanics was the tool for me to win my lottery jackpot. Point blank. And I'll explain to you how quantum mechanics work, and this might enlighten you and change your life. So if you're just joining this live here, the question is, Mark, can you tell us more about quantum mechanics and how it can change or alter our lives? And for me, as I said, quantum mechanics changed my life, helped me to win the lottery a lot of times. So I'll explain to you how quantum mechanics work, what it is, and how you can tap into it to change your life. All right, so the first theory and the basis of quantum mechanics says that there is nothing in the world or the universe that is real. Quantum mechanics says everything that we see, smell, taste, and touch are just sensory inputs of frequencies, energy from what's called the electromagnetic field. There are waves of energy, right? And quantum mechanics says these waves of energy, what happens is our brains are like tuners. So when energy comes in, our brain will tune these energies and they become physical things. It basically says certain waves and particles, they vibrate or oscillate at different frequencies. When they vibrate real fast, become liquid. When they vibrate real slow, they become solidity. Okay? The next thing about what quantum mechanics says now, because the world isn't a physical real structure, quantum mechanics now says we create our world through our imagination or what we think about. Our consciousness generates our reality. Quantum mechanics is basically the science that shows how all stuff come into your existence in your real life. It's the science of that. Now, what makes quantum mechanics so profound? First of all, if you claim that you fully understand quantum mechanics, it's impossible, because it gets so quacky and weird the more you learn and get deep into it. Quantum mechanics says this. It says that when you're not looking at something, it ceases to exist. When you turn around, it renders back into your reality as a definite thing. That's what quantum mechanics says. Quantum mechanics says when you're in your house and you're sitting on your chair, and you get up and you go outside, your house and your chair completely disappears from existence, and until when you come back, it pops into reality. Not only does it say that, that's what I'm saying, quantum mechanics is so quacky and weird, right? It also says when you're sitting in your house, in your living room are infinite realities playing out in front of you. You're in a reality where the dinosaurs still exist. You're in a reality where you live in another house. You have infinite things going on, and they're separated by dimensions. These dimensions are invisible to us. They're called compactified. So they curl up on each other, but they're very tiny. And within these dimensions, they have possibilities. So what quantum mechanics says now, it says that since everything that we look at comes into our reality, when you don't look at something, it freezes into what they call a superposition state. A superposition state says that when something freezes, it already exists as infinite outcomes. An example of this is in your normal life. If you, let's say you want to manifest wealth or whatever it is you want to create in your life, right? Quantum mechanics says when you're thinking about that, okay, the minute you start to think about it and observe it, it starts to become possibilities. Now, when you turn away from it, it exists in all the different realities. Quantum mechanics says there are realities where you have everything you ever desire and everything you never desire. It says everything you want exists as possibilities. Today, when you went to the store, there's a reality that created where you didn't go to the store. today you didn't win the lottery, there's a reality where you did win the lottery. Every reality exists in quantum mechanics. Now, back up to my story. That was the trigger that went off for me when I discovered quantum mechanics about me winning the lottery. I was like, okay, so quantum mechanics says there exist many worlds. They call it the many world interpretation. Now, keep in mind, people, these are theories they put out there, okay? These are theories. But I'm speaking about my personal experience. It wasn't a theory for me. It was an actual fact. Because as you know my story, I did win the lottery. I did visualize exactly the way it came. It did manifest exactly. So in my world, in my view, in my subjective world, quantum mechanics definitely changed my life and it affected me. So as far as I'm concerned, it's not a theory for me. It's a law. That's up for debate for anybody else out there, all you science guys out there. It's a theory, but theories have verifiable evidence to show us that these things are working. For example, the theory of relativity is a theory. Without a theory of relativity, we couldn't have satellites, we couldn't have GPS, so these things work, okay? So quantum mechanics take us into the parallel universe. In the parallel realities, you can shift there. So how do you make quantum mechanics work? Well, it's about you. So here's the big thing about quantum mechanics. You are quantum. You see, when you take your body and you break it down, your cells, they become the molecules. When you break your molecules down, they become the atomic world. They become the quantum, the particles. And when you break those particles down, they become nothing. They become energy. They become vibrating strings of energetic patterns. So all of us is made from that. So if you're a quantum particle or quantum world, and your consciousness drives this, it means that you can deliberately now start to visualize, interpret, expect, assume what you want, and that reality will flip into this existence. I must remind you again, the one important fact that you must understand about quantum physics is, okay? Someone says we are metaphysical beings, not physical beings, correct? Or non-physical beings, okay? The one important fact that you must understand, the framework of quantum mechanics says that, guys, that there is nothing real. There is no physical reality. It's an illusion. That's very important if you're going to change your life by design. It means that when you go outside and you look at this tree and it looks and you touch it, it feels real to you. It is a trickery sensory of the brain. That's very important. If you don't get that, you won't manifest and create what you want. Because I tell you why, if you are stuck in what they call the Newtonian physics, where you see things as materialism, it's going to be difficult for you to believe that you can live the best version of yourself. It's going to be difficult for you to say, well, man, look, everything is stuck, nothing's changing, I can't manifest that. That's why it's important for you to get that what you see is not real. It can shift any instant. You can change it. It can vibrate and shift and become into your reality. So that's the thing about quantum mechanics. Now, the next thing about quantum mechanics, it says that we as an observer control the quantum world. By watching something, expecting something, it becomes what we think about and what we expect it to become. There was a famous experiment. It was called the double slit experiment. Basically what it did, they shoot these particles in through these little beams, and then when these particles would go in, they would either become a wave or they'd go on a little dot. So what happens is when you were watching them, the particles behave normally. When you shoot them through the slit, they go bing, 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 bing on the little thing. But what happened is, when you're not observing the particles don't obey the laws of what we call reality. The particles went through and they become a wave. They went through everything. That means they became possibilities. And then when you turn back to look, the particles become a reality. So in layman's terms, it means that, I said it before, whenever you're not looking at something, it ceases to exist and becomes possibilities. When you turn around, it becomes the thing you've seen before. So how can you change your reality through quantum mechanics? Okay, you can change your reality through quantum mechanics by using what's the most powerful part of your consciousness is your imagination. When you visualize, when you can script, when you can expect, that will change the world around you because you're changing the frequency. It's all about these particles. Every single particle have a certain frequency. They are vibrating at a certain rate. Based on the rate of their vibration, they come in as a car, they come in as your home, they come in as the money, they come in as water, they come in as ice. Everything you experience has certain tuning of it. So you get to tune it through your repetitive imagination of the thing you want. Get what I'm saying? In other words, you have to imagine living in your dream like it's a normal thing. When you do that, you now interpret and change the quantum world. So there's another caveat to this part. So while quantum mechanics changes, there's something that helps us to interpret and create an experience from the quantum into what we see as a physical. And it's through what's called our unconscious or subconscious mind. When your subconscious mind is convinced of whatever it is you're imagining, when it's convinced of that, it interacts with the quantum world, and that becomes a rendering of your new reality. When your subconscious mind isn't convinced, you'll experience the same pattern, whatever it is you're experiencing. See how it works? So for me, how I use quantum mechanics, for me when I won the lottery, it was very simple. Now I understood that, okay, quantum mechanics says Mark has infinite copies. Mark has infinite outcomes. It must exist because another caveat to quantum mechanics, all the particles that make us up, they are not infinite. They are finite. They can only be rearranged in a certain point until they start repeating. And they must repeat. The reason why we must repeat is because the universe is infinite. It doesn't have a beginning, it doesn't have an end, and it also has multiverses, bubbles on bows. So that means I must repeat as Mark in some other universe, in some other earth, in some other planet, in some other state. This guy you're seeing talking to you right now, there's a version of me just exactly doing a little bit of different thing. That's what the quantum mechanics says. So when I did that, I said, okay, it's got to be a version of me winning the lottery and buying my M3 car. That's what it says. That's what I did. I put it to the test, visualized it, affirmed it, believed it, let it go, repeated it, voila, and I end up winning, buying my car, my M3, winning the lottery like it says. And that's what I knew. Quantum mechanics for me was a fact. It was no longer theory for me. Now it was a fact for me. And I started to do that, and I repeated it, and it kept going and going. And this is why I teach and I show and I enlighten and I make everyone aware that yes, your world is actually like a simulated world. You can be and have anything you desire as long as you have an open mind and you can believe it, and then you know the rules of the game of how this universe works. And this is why I'm showing you the rule of how the universe works. So in quantum mechanics, there exist infinite realities. All you have to do to tap into it is believe it, focus on it, without the resistance, expect it, let it go. Your subconscious mind brings it into you, and you get to experience it. Voila. That's how quantum mechanics changed my life. See you next time.